What about your education?
So, like most people, I went to high school, to Seymour Community Christian School, and also South Young High School. And went to Tennessee Wesleyan College and got a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration, Human Resource Management, while I was working at UT Police. So I worked and went to a night school and got a degree in 1996, and then while I was working for UT Police, I also went back to University of Tennessee and got a Master of Arts in Criminology, the Department of Sociology department, in 2001. And that really opened up my eyes about a lot of things, where you see a lot of the ways that outside society enforces its will on individuals, good and bad, and it shows you how that even governments can turn corrupt, and organizations of the government commit crimes against its people, which I think is going on now, where we have our people in state offices and state government that are adversely affecting individuals and taking our rights away from us. And the perception that if you work hard and do really good, get a high level of education, and you can go anywhere you want to go in America is wrong. The truth of the matter is you can go as far as people in the government power will allow you to go. So it doesn't matter how hard you work. People can pedal as fast as they can pedal, and the government won't let them go anywhere. And some of the people in government power that have friends and family, they don't have to work hard at all. They don't have to have any education at all, and they get a free ride. So things aren't fair, things aren't run right. There's a deception going on perpetrated by people in power that want to keep the masses of the population in subjection under them, and they put out the perception that everything's all right, that if you work hard, you can get a lot. And the reality is, the harder some people work, it doesn't matter, and people in government power get things passed down to them for free without earning anything. And if enough people get together and combat that falsehood put out by people in power, and they're even using your money to inflict their will on you, if enough people get together, then we can overcome this deception and overcome this falsehood and correct things to where it is fair. And we need to get some new people in public offices that will dismantle the establishment and take down their pictures that they have of these wonderful people in government power they claim are wonderful, and they have their pictures in government buildings. And we need to take their pictures down and put pictures of victims of the government and show us what we need to overcome and why we need to overcome the government. And then I went to Lincoln Memorial Duncan School of Law and transferred to Nashville School of Law, and I graduated with a Doctor of Jurisprudence in 2016, and also passed the Tennessee bar exam. And I don't have a law license. I'm a lawyer. You're a lawyer if you graduate from law school. So I'm actually a little more than a lawyer. I've graduated from law school and passed the bar exam, although I'm not an attorney because I don't practice law. But the crooked state government won't let me practice law. So right now I'm in the process of probably trying and passing the bar exam again, and maybe putting it to them again and trying to get my law license. And also trying to establish a following of people that are masses in the public that are mistreated. And even if you don't believe that you're mistreated, you are. Trust me. I've actually worked in the government, and they do things to benefit themselves. For instance, the colonel of the Highway Patrol, I went to the same law enforcement academy as he did. His bio says he's working on a master's degree. I wasn't working on a master's degree, I already had one. And now I have as I said, I have a Doctor of Jurisprudence. But when I went to the academy, his dad was captain over the academy. He's now the colonel. He didn't do anything to deserve that colonel position. He had that position passed down to him. He hasn't done anything for public safety. In fact, when he was in the academy, he's such a sissy. I got sprayed with chemical spray because I went to the commercial enforcement class. But when his son was in the academy, it was a form of hazing where they spray cayenne pepper in your eyes, the hottest pepper that there is in existence that literally puts you in pain for several days. They did that to haze us. But when his son was in the academy, sitting in seats right beside cadets because he had to appear like he was going through the same process, all of a sudden they decided that they weren't going to spray people with the chemical spray. So that's how they do things. They didn't spray anybody in that academy class. So he's not only not qualified to be the colonel, him and his daddy are sissies. They won't even go through the same process that they put other people through. And we need to get in power and take their pictures down from the Highway Patrol Academy and these public offices and take these pictures down, throw them on the ground, stomp on them, take them out back behind the department and burn them, have a picture burning, and then put pictures in the Highway Patrol post of the masses of children that have been killed by drunk drivers, that these people have sat in offices and allowed that to happen. And as an example of what troopers need to do, go out and stop these people from getting killed. Instead of pictures honoring the people in power that gave themselves power and passed down these positions and earned millions of your dollars for doing nothing to protect you. So that's what I learned mostly in sociology, and I have a legal education that I know what's defamation. Defamation is false communication disseminated to at least a third party that tends to lower someone in the standing of society, and in some cases it has to cause them damages. The defense to defamation, and the colonel can sue me, he's a coward. He didn't get sprayed with chemical spray. The defense to defamation, if he wants to sue me, is this truth, and that's the truth. I'm telling the truth about him. So it helps to have a law degree. I know what I can say and what I can't say, and everything I say is the truth. If they want to sue me over calling them the captain over the Knoxville district is a drunk, if they want to sue me over calling her a drunk, I think I can prove she's a drunk. Read the newspaper. Stacey Heatherly, she was suspended for calling a trooper to pick her up instead of a taxi because she was drunk. So she is a drunk. So that's the level of education I got. Enough education to be very dangerous to these sick, disgusting people that are in power that mistreat you.
Well, what about your career? When did it start? How far back do you want to go with that? When did it start?
Well, I started delivering newspapers when I was about 11 years old, and I gave the money to my mother, and she helped buy us food, and she would also buy me some stuff. I remember she bought me a big one of those 3-wheelers, and I delivered papers. It took me about 2 hours every day. And then my first law enforcement job was I got on with the Nueces County Sheriff's Department in about 1989 and worked there about a year. And then I moved back to Knoxville, where I'm from. I had a sister that lived out there, got married and lived out there, so I moved out there and applied with the Sheriff's Department. Got hired in the jail and learned how to work around inmates and prisoners and got my first start working in the jail. And then I moved back to Knoxville, and I worked at H.D. Hackney for a little while until I got on with the University of Tennessee Police Department, and I worked there at the University of Tennessee Police Department for about 10 years, and then I got on with the Tennessee Highway Patrol and worked there for another 10 years, led the state of the Highway Patrol in drunk driving arrests for more than half a decade because I cared about little children and wanted to protect them. And I did, according to their own standards. Got awards for the number of arrests I made. The average trooper makes 2 drunk driving arrests a year. These are people that go to wrecks at night where people wreck because they're drunk, and they only make 2 arrests out of hundreds that they overlook. When I was a trooper, I made over 100 every year because I did my job. And these troopers, some of them don't have to do their job because their daddy or somebody they're related to works for the Highway Patrol. So they literally get a lot of your money for doing nothing, which is pretty disgusting. The department needs to be abolished and rebuilt from the bottom up.
How many years were you in law enforcement?
About 20 years, about 18 as a commissioned officer, and then also working in the jail. I graduated from 3 law enforcement training academies. When I was at UT, I graduated from the Basic Law Enforcement Training Academy, Taliwa, is what they call it, out in Nashville. I went for 2 months, stay there all night and all through the week, and then graduated from there. And then when I got on with the Highway Patrol, I had to go back to the Highway Patrol Academy. They weren't accepting transfers. I started working for the Tennessee Highway Patrol, the commercial division, and I went to a 4-month school. I had to live out in Nashville for 4 months. This was when they sprayed me with chemical spray. And I graduated from that semi-military school. They have veterans, military people that come in and train them how to run it like a boot camp. And they are very tough. It's a very difficult school. You literally go roll out in the mud and they say mean stuff to you. You really don't learn any law enforcement. It's all about discipline. I graduated from that school, and then I got rehired as a trooper, and I went through the school again, and that's when the captain's son was in the class, and he didn't get sprayed with chemical spray. That all of a sudden, when he's in the class, cut that out. But I graduated from the same school again. They just teach you a little more about working traffic wrecks, and they don't have as much as the commercial enforcement. So that's 3 law enforcement training academies, as well as I was a drug recognition expert, where I knew how to tell what kind of drugs people were on by checking their blood pressure, their eyes, and also went to a traffic wreck school from a police department out in East Tennessee that lasted a week for in-service. I took a verbal judo class, learned how to talk to people. I took a management class, learned how to give speeches and talk to people under your command, and a lot of different. I took an officer survival class where they teach you to shoot through the windshield of a patrol car. You don't even have to get out of your car. They teach you where to put the gun to where it won't hurt you. The noise is pretty loud, but you actually go out and physically shoot through the window of a patrol car. They just keep replacing the windows so that you know how to do it, so you don't even have to get out of your car. Law enforcement is based on the concept of military, of fighting, and if you're under attack or going to be under attack, the best that you can surprise your opponent by doing something that they don't think you're due, which is obviously you're fighting for your life, then the more you do that, the better chance you have at surviving. So all that stuff is really good. So I have all kinds of different, and also have standardized field sobriety and advanced level class, and all kinds. And I also had a class on learning how to protect dignitary officials, like we learned at UT. I went through a class on how to protect the president because he came down to UT, and we learned about how to do that. And I also took a advanced level class on emergency management and made an A in it when I was at the University of Tennessee, a graduate level course. So I got a lot of education.
And again, your law degree, it was from where again?
From Nashville School of Law. I graduated with about a 3.2 GPA. I think I did better than that, but that's what they gave me.
Now, when you were going to law school, you were commuting back and forth, weren't you?
Right. I lived in Knoxville, and I drove all the way out there to Nashville, and I had to stay overnight. And I slept in my van in the Kroger parking lot, and we couldn't really afford a hotel every night. And the last year, you have to go 3 nights a week, so I literally stayed out in the van and slept in the van in the parking lot 2 nights every week while school was in session for the last year, and it was worth it. I'm proud of the legal education I have, and I've used it to defend myself several times. So I've sued the Tennessee Board of Law Examiners. You can read the case, pointed out exactly how crooked they are, and I also sued the Chattanooga police officers and the district attorney of Chattanooga successfully. I agreed to dismiss the case based on the fact that they dismissed my case early. So, but we beat the Chattanooga Police Department, and I had them on the hook in civil court because they violated the Constitution. They do that all the time. They just ran into somebody that knew what the Constitution said and knew how to file a suit against them.
Now but that took quite a commitment to actually commute sometime. You commuted sometime. That's over 300 miles from Knoxville to Nashville.
It's about 3.5 hours every week.
That
3.5 hours there, 3.5 hours back.
wear and tear physically,
Right.
a little bit mentally, I guess, and on your vehicle.
Law school's hard. It's not like a regular school where you go and the professor gives a lecture. In law school, you have to read the material, and then when you get in class, you're expected to know the material, and the professor will ask you questions in front of about 50 other students about the case. And if you don't know the material, if you haven't read it, then they will get up and say bad stuff about you in front of the whole class. That stuff like you're supposed to be reading this stuff, and what are you going to do when you're a lawyer and you are supposed to defend a client? You don't read your cases and you don't know what you're doing, your client goes to jail. And they would literally say, there's the door. If you can't do this work like you're supposed to and take responsibility, then you probably shouldn't be a lawyer. You probably need to leave, and say stuff like that to you. So yeah.
Well, okay.
I always read the material though, and I got into several heated debates with some of the professors that thought they knew more than I did, and I didn't think so. And I literally pointed out where they were in error. Arrogance will get you killed, so to speak. And they tried to tell me I was wrong, and I pointed out page and line number where I wasn't, and then they went on to something else. So I wasn't your regular ignorant student. I risked my life on the road, and I demanded respect. And some of the professors in my law school were judges, and they just demanded respect because everybody kissed their hind end pretty much. But I don't do that. You know, I demand respect because like most people, I think I've earned it, and they demand respect because of their position. So I pretty much told them how things were.
Okay. Well, we've got a good amount of footage there. Let's do one more thing. I just want, and this is something separate. If you could say, this would be like a few seconds on a separate video. It says something to the effect of stay tuned or be on the lookout for part 2 of Morgan Raw coming up soon.
Be on the lookout for part 2, Morgan Raw, coming soon. Thank you.
Let's say it one more time.